Well, hello everyone, it's John back again. So in this Lightroom video, what I want to do is I want to show you how I developed this photo of Deepdale to the finished article. As you can see, it was quite hazy when I took this photo, so there's a fair amount to do, but it's not terribly difficult. So the first thing I want to do on this photo is to create a virtual copy. Now the reason for creating a virtual copy is not because it's a destructive workflow, but purely because I want to be able to show you a before and after at the same time, simultaneously, side by side, and because I may want to go down a different path and try something different to see how that compares. So that's the reason for creating a virtual copy. There's no protection of images with this. So this is the image. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this from copy 1 to something that I can more easily find, and we can change this by going to the library module and metadata, and I can then change my copy name to video tutorial. And now when I'm in here, it's just a little bit easier for me to actually remember what I'm working on. So the first thing I'm going to do with this, I'm going to click on auto and see what Lightroom thinks of it as a whole. It's actually made a pretty good first attempt at it, but I want to do some more work. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bump up my clarity. I'm going to do something with vibrance. I'm going to pull my shadows up a bit as well, and I'm going to pull my highlights down a little bit, just a bit more, perhaps something like that. It's a pretty good starting. We've got a lot more clarity into the foreground here, although the far slope is a little bit misty. We can fix that in a moment. I need to apply a little bit more contrast. The first thing I want to do is get rid of this fence and this wall down here in the lower left hand corner. So we'll just crop the image to get rid of that. That's that bit done. I'm going to get rid of chromatic aberration. So we'll do that. I don't know if there was any in there, but if there was, it's now gone. So what we'll do is we'll do some sharpening in here. If I just scroll back up, I have a sharpening preset that I use. So if I expand my presets and we scroll down, I have my sharpening for landscapes. We'll just apply that. So that's adjusted some things. Push sharpening up to 79. What I want to do is to mask some areas out. I'd like to mask the sky out. So let's do the mask. So we'll just get rid of anything that we're doing in the sky. All I really want to do is sharpen edges, something like that. If we zoom in, well, it doesn't look like I have a lot of noise in the foreground here, so I'm quite happy with that. If we go up a bit, well, we don't have a lot of noise up here either, so that's looking pretty good. So I don't need to do a lot with the luminance mask. So what I'd like to do now is to get some sharpening into this area here. Now if we follow the slope of the sides of the valley and the top of the hill there, it's roughly sort of oval in shape. So what I'm thinking here is to use a radial filter. So let's drag the radial filter out, and we'll just draw a filter in there. Let's hide these for the moment. So I'm now going to stretch my radial filter out, and notice I can go outside the bounds of the photograph with this. Let's just reposition this a little bit, maybe something like that. Let's just push it up a touch, and let's bring my radial filter part out again. I'm going to invert the mask because I only want to work on the middle here, and reset everything. So the first thing I want to do is I want to put some contrast into this. something like that, and I'm going to push the sharpening up a bit as well. So that's got some sharpening going into there. That's looking a little bit better, so we'll duplicate this and see what effect that has. So again, that's done a pretty good job. You can probably saw in the video that it's got a bit more contrast into it. And I think what I might do is just pull down a graduated filter with this as well, so we can just do something with the sky, something like that. So I'll just pull down the highlights as well, and maybe we'll just reset the exposure on that. So let's pull down the highlights, pull down the exposure a little bit. I just want to make sure I don't lose some of the cloud in this. And that's looking not too bad. If we zoom in on here, we might see we've got some noise now being introduced. Well, we have. I'm not too worried about it, because when it's printed out you won't see it, and certainly if it's projected you're not going to see it. But I would like to get a little bit more sharpening in there. So again, I'm going to, I think this time I'm going to go for the adjustment brush. Let's just reset everything in here. I'm going to push sharpness up a bit and bring noise down so we can get rid of some of the noise, and we'll make this a bit bigger, and we'll just start painting in here. I don't need to be too careful about where I go. This is all largely the same thing anyway, and I'm just going to push the contrast up a bit as well, something like that. And we should have had a little bit, should get a little bit more sharpness in here. Just wait for that to sharpen up. That's it. That's not looking bad at all. Okay. So just to finish this off, what I would like to do is, oh, before I do that, let's just go into the hue, saturation and luminance panels. I just want to lighten this patch in here up a little bit. So we use the targeted adjustment tool, and I'm just going to go into here and push this area up a little bit, just to make it a little bit brighter. We'll do saturation as well, just make that a little bit greener, not too much, but just a touch more, something like that. And that's that done. So this is almost complete now. What I'm going to do though, just to finish this off, is I'm going to take this into a plugin. This is not a promotion for this plugin or a recommendation. It's just the one I like to use to do this. This is the Perfect Photo Suite. They've got rather a natty little feature in this called dynamic contrast, which allows me to adjust contrast to different areas. While this is loading up, I'm just going to pause the video. Okay, so I've now got the photo into the Perfect Photo Suite. I just want to do a couple of very quick changes, so I'm just going to go to the Effects tab, because what I want to do is I want to apply some dynamic contrast to this. This actually works quite nice, really nicely. So we go to Dynamic Contrast and we'll apply Natural. Just click on that. So what this has done is it's created a layer, and it's got my dynamic contrast. You can see what effect it's had. So the first thing I want to do is I just want to take a little bit of detail out of this. This has been a little bit too much for me. So let's just pull some of the large detail out. So large detail is covering larger things such as sky and maybe this far side hill here. The small detail will be the things like the trees and the walls and the buildings, and the medium will be essentially what's left over. So that's not too bad, but I'd really like to mask out the sky, because I don't want to bring detail out in the sky necessarily. So we can just put a masking bug on here, and this works in a similar way to the way the graduated filter did inside Lightroom. Just pull that down a little bit. So what I've done is I've masked out the effect that it's having in the sky. You can see that from the black line we've got in here. This has actually been masked out. And what I'd also like to do is to enhance the colour a little bit by just bringing some of those greens out. So we'll add a new layer, and we'll go to the colour enhancer, and then we can use some of these other filters here. So I think we'll go with the fall enhancer. Let's see what that does. I like the effect that it has on there, and that's quite nice. It's just warmed up this foreground a little bit and not done too much on the background, but I'm quite happy with that. So I don't think I really want to go anything more than this. It works quite nicely on this photo. So I'll click apply. This is going to take me back to the layers module. We can then click on save, which will save the image. So this saves it as a PSD, which we can then use, open up in Lightroom, sorry, not Lightroom, Photoshop, to do more stuff if we so chose. Close the image, get rid of the perfect photo suite. And what this will do is this will bring it back into Lightroom, which is this photo here. And if we wanted to, we could then start applying some of the other effects. We could actually perhaps go back and do some more work in the clarity in the other area here. But actually I'm quite happy with that photo as it is, so I'm just going to leave it there. So thank you for watching. Next time I'm going to look at exporting the images and how we can create a preset that we can use over and over again when exporting for, say, the projected image competition. So thank you for watching.